All right, welcome to the podcast today. I got my man Esteban. It's funny because I remember at this exact event, we had a dinner at a place in Miami Beach, and we had a conversation, Esteban and I. And I said something that most people would have let fly, but he looked at me and he said, "What do you mean, eventually? You could do it now." And it was when I told him that one day I know for sure, at some point, one day, I'll have like a dream car, like a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Wait a minute, bro. Why'd you say it like that?" Do you remember that conversation?
I remember exactly the conversation you're talking about.
No doubt. And so basically, I just wanted to start off like that because I realized it gave me the perspective shift that the growth never stops, you know? And that's what we want to make this podcast for, is the self-image and how we've constantly evolved it and adapted it over time. Another one was when you asked me what car do I want, and you got me the toy car, the Rolls Royce.
Absolutely.
And you were just pushing me, what you saw in me, and that's really what a great coach and mentor and friend and brother will do for you, is they will remind you of who you really are and what they really see for you. And they won't accept any limitations. So that's what we're gonna get into today.
Let's get it.
My G. Let's go. So yeah, I mean, a lot of barbers have these gaps in their self-image, if you will. And for me, the biggest one was just growing up with less, not feeling deserving of more. And I used to genuinely think that even though I didn't feel worthy of or deserving of, that I could somehow attain the thing. And so the most important work I needed to do first was just feel worthy of charging $100 a haircut and not blaming any external factors. So I remember one of the first things you mentioned that you wanted to cover was the city, the limiting beliefs around price.
Yeah.
So,
you know, we're a product of our environment, right? Our paradigm is shaped by, our paradigm is the way we believe, our perception on life, on things, on situations, right? Strong beliefs, limiting beliefs, whatever they are, right? And they're molded by our upbringing. So a lot of times, whether it was you, even though you wanted those things, really having that full belief that you could have it in a shorter amount of time or have it period, or whether it's barbers. I speak to barbers every day, and I hear so many barbers say, "Man, I can't charge those prices in my city. My city. You don't understand. Where I'm at, nobody charges that. You don't know the people here." And this is the reality of it, is people are people. And there's poverty everywhere, and there's abundance everywhere. So your mindset is directly connected to your paradigm, your level of belief of what you can or can't do. And I'll give a perfect example. When I opened my shop, we ended up opening up a shop 1 year later in Puerto Rico, right? I met a guy named Aldo Arquitecto. He used to be a reggaeton artist. Super blessed to have met that dude. He's a leader, innovator. He was a barber. He left the reggaeton industry because he converted to Christ, and he was like, "I don't want nothing else to do with that." He was working in the shop. We went over there, and we ended up buying out that shop in Puerto Rico. It was a little hole in the wall, right? And we're like, "Man, we're gonna make this the baddest shop in Puerto Rico. We're gonna bring dynasty to Puerto Rico." And I remember telling them, like, "Guys, we're gonna change the game. We're gonna charge more prices." At the time they were charging, I think it was an average of $12 to $15 a haircut. And I was like, "We're gonna charge 50. We're gonna charge more than anybody else in the game." And literally everybody was like, "You're crazy.
Yeah.
This is Puerto Rico." I said, "Is there anybody in Puerto Rico that has a Lambo, that has penthouses, that has boats?" So we're like, "Well, yeah, of course, but it doesn't matter. It's Puerto Rico." I said, "No, it does matter. What the problem is, your paradigm is being shifted by your poverty, right? You grew up around poverty, and you think that this is the standard, but you have the ability to shift a standard and change a standard, right?
No doubt.
Getting to the moon wasn't possible at one point until somebody believed it was, and then we did it, right?
4-minute mile, all that, yeah.
Absolutely. So we didn't get to $50 a haircut. They get between 50 to 100 now in Puerto Rico.
Come on,
you know, and now, they have all the reggaeton artists that go all over there, everyone you can imagine. They are the #1 shop in Puerto Rico. And I remember when we started, it was a limiting belief. Everybody said we couldn't do it, but we did what was not possible because we believed it was possible.
Straight up.
So it doesn't matter where you're at. And I just want to clarify, I feel so bad for those people that have those limiting beliefs and they allow it to keep them where they're at.
Yeah, because everybody has those come in their brain, and we have a conscious ability to accept it or reject it. The successful people have them as well, but they have a quick reflex to just close the door on that negative thought as it comes in. And I mean, there's been times where I didn't have that skill yet, but I would find ways like going to the gym, tracking my food, and just building confidence in myself, knowing if I did everything that day, those thoughts were a lot easier to control. And it's really the devil. You know, we said a prayer before this podcast that we just wanted to focus on the faith, the higher, the light, you know. But the darkness is always there. For me, it was there as well. I remember charging $200 a haircut never seemed like something that was even possible. And there was another one. I actually wrote a note, something that I wanted to share that you helped me with as well. Is we had an event, and I think it was this exact event.
Yeah,
and the two guys that came to speak, they were like top guys, and I was telling you in the elevator, like, bro, it's kind of crazy because they just offered to like be a part of this, and I almost like felt out of alignment with that. Like, I was curious, almost asking you, why do you think that was? You were like, what do you mean, bro? Like, that's how they see you. Like, they see you as worth that.
Of course.
And I was like, oh, another gap in my self-image. And it just reminds me that it's a never-ending game. Like, just because I got the $200 a haircut, look how much more there is. So for barbers, it's just, we want to share that message of the self-image and the self-belief and the paradigm, as you said. What was some of the biggest ones you had to overcome yourself that stopped you when you were a barber? I know you went through a lot of different patterns, you had different industries, but
I've had a few. For me, one of my paradigms was I was always successful, right? When it came to like talking about, I always wanted to be a coach. I always led, right? But I had this perception because sometimes I lost a lot of friends when I started hitting certain levels of success, right? Whether it's envy or maybe it's admiration in the form of they display it in envy because they think they can't get it or whatnot. So for a while, I would not post so much about success because I almost didn't want to hurt feelings.
Yeah.
Right? It was a limiting belief of, you know, people were gonna view me like this or people were gonna view me like that.
Selfish ass motherfucker.
Yeah, right? So that was one thing. But another limiting belief that I want to talk about was I wanted to do online coaching before anyone was doing online coaching. Because I've been in coaching and leadership for a very long time now. And when I opened my shop, the vision was, 1,200 locations, franchises, and I had been doing a coaching program from the day, back in 2015. But the online thing wasn't around. And I thought about doing it, but I didn't take action. And then I saw other barbers start doing the online coaching thing and start blowing up. And the limiting belief for me for a while was, I missed that wave. I was supposed to do it before they did it. Yeah. And almost like upset at myself, but also like, man, they did it first. So now because they did it first, they're the leaders now and it'll be harder for me or whatever, you know, the case it was.
The devil is a liar.
The devil is a liar.
He's a convincing liar. He gets people, man.
He is. That's what he does. So that definitely kept me from taking that action in the coaching space for a long time.
Wow. Okay, got it. So that one, I mean, if I'm honest, I have a transparent story I haven't really shared, but when I was first starting out, I saw Ty Lopez and that he did that here in my garage video. I had this Lamborghini, but I also have knowledge, and then he's sharing his mansion, and I was like, damn, he really speaks well. Like, I want to articulate like that one day. But I had zero self-belief, zero confidence, just growing up without my dad, and I would see myself as less than. I don't think anyone actually viewed me that way. I just labeled myself as like less than. And it was just like impossible to shake for so long. But I would see the life one day and would just wonder, how could I achieve that? And I wanted to be like Ty Lopez. When I was in my mom's basement, I was like, I want to be like that guy. Nice. But barbering was just like the most tangible thing that I had passion for and could see like a $5 bill come in after a haircut, a $10 bill. I was like, this is just what I have to do. I tried other side hustles. I tried drop shipping, Amazon FBA. I had like thousands of dollars from haircut money and just like didn't have the willpower to see those through at the time. Barbering was just like the layup. And I just stuck with it. But I was like, I remember what I learned from Ty Lopez about like pushing a story, and how he would say that he had $9 on his mom's couch in West Virginia in a trailer park. Some story about that. And I just remember thinking like, all right, I'm going to make my version of that. So I'm going to start telling everybody that I started with $5 and a pair of Walmart clippers in my mom's basement. That was like my version. And I took that with me, but I always wanted to be a coach as well. I waited way longer. And I'll be honest, I never shared this. I had a associate, contemporary of mine, who told me, I'll kill you, bro, if you ever start that.
Oof.
And because I lived in fear and had no identity and really wasn't listening to God's calling, I just folded for years until God like broke me. Took everything and like, he's like, you're gonna listen. He like shook me. I said, yes, sir. Like, I surrender, you know? And at that point, what no man ever said mattered anymore. And that's when I started to like develop more of a faith journey. I stopped doing things my way. I was really just only trying to make money, you know. It was all fueled from validation that I could get from how far can I push my haircut prices, how far can I, whatever. And I lost the inspiration that I was trying to give in the first place, the same way that Ty Lopez gave it to me. So I do resonate with that, pushing the coaching out too far. But it showed up in everything I did, you know. For Barber specifically, I'm sure it's their haircut prices, it's the city they're in, it's not wanting to get on camera. You mentioned like, it was kind of similar. You said that you didn't want to post about success. Barbers don't want to post their freaking haircuts, or just like get on camera, period. And I would say that's the biggest one, putting their personality on camera. Man, that's the one that, because everybody posts content as a barber nowadays. It used to be if you just post your work, you're going to be big because no one was posting. Not everybody posts, so you have to not put your personality in it. Or the people who do are the ones who have the biggest impact. And so there's a big fear around that. And if you could dive a little more into that, like what was the step for you to be able to start putting yourself on camera and lower the ego and be like, no, you know what? It's bigger than me. There's a purpose behind this.
Well, for me, what really made me kind of just go all in was a few different things. Is almost everyone that I have helped has turned their back on me, right? I have helped barbers from day one that were working at Publix making $300 a week, problems in their relationships, barbers that were living out of their car. I have helped them step by step, every step of the way, giving them clients, poured into them, and almost all of them have turned their back on me, right? So I remember it came a time when I was like, why do I continue to care about people, but it just made me realize, like, why do I care so much about what people think when at the end of the day, listen, everybody wants to see you do good, but nobody wants to see you do better than them, right? And for me, that was kind of a big part of what killed that doubt or anything about, you know, I don't want people to judge me or think I'm cocky or think I'm this or think I'm whatever, bragging. And it's just like, I got to look out for me. And that was what kind of broke that limiting belief for me personally, right? And I want to point something out. I want to write off something that you said, right? And I think this is beautiful, right? Because you mentioned that for a while you didn't grow up with the father, right? And you had all these insecurities and self-doubts and all this stuff, right? You didn't have that father figure role model, and you went through a lot of stuff because of it, right? Well, it's so funny because the story we tell ourselves, doesn't matter what the story is, can keep us down. I grew up from humble beginnings, literally broke, busted, disgusted, but my father found a mentor and he became a millionaire, right? And for a while, I would battle with myself because people would say, oh, well, you, like people that didn't know me, oh, but you're rich. Well, you don't know me, you don't know my story, right? So, oh, but you're rich, so you have an advantage, right? So that story also kept me limited because I was like, oh man, people think I'm successful because, you know, I have it easier, right? And that is also something that kept me for a while kind of like, I almost hated the fact that we were successful for a little bit. Because I was like, man, everybody judges me because of that, right? So here we have somebody that grew up without a father, from poverty. Somebody that his father started from poverty, we started from poverty, but became very successful, and both told themselves a story in their mind, the two complete opposite stories, and allowed them to limit themselves. And here's the reality is, there's a lot of people that grew up without a father that end up not being nothing and letting them affect them, right? And like you, same situation, but you actually made it happen, right? Me, I grew up with the best father that you could ever ask for, the best example, not perfect, but the best ideal situation you could imagine. And a lot of people grow up with a father like that, and they become bums, they become drug addicts, they become, you know, and I went through my stuff, but I did not, I'm like that exception, like, okay, I did make it, right? So again, it's kind of like, it's not about like, you have to protect the story you tell yourself, right? Because that becomes real in your mind. And the sooner you learn that, the sooner you're free. And you can now, you know, actually accomplish that desire that God put in your heart, right? Because, and like you said, when your real breakthrough came through is after you got broken and God was like, hey, let's go. Because the top isn't for the chosen few, it's for the few that choose, because we're all called. Because
we're all called. I like that, bro. Yeah, no doubt. Many are called, few are chosen, but it's like, that's the translation right there. Is that we're really all called. But who's gonna pick up? So, yeah, man, and I think I didn't have a faith journey for so long, and so I was looking for guidance in other mentors. And I'll be honest, like, I wouldn't be here without mentors. I mean, when I was in Ohio, I had a mentor who said, Joel, like, don't just go to that California mentor, but go there with the mindset of being the best. Like, and I was like, wait, what? That's crazy. You think I can do that? So I always had people helping me, and I was very fortunate that they would see something in me and just over-deliver and take me under their wing and, like, pull strings that they weren't usually pulling. Like, the shop would not offer apprenticeships. If you didn't have a license, you can't work there. But then I come along, all right, we'll make an exception. That was God every time. But in the time, you know, but I thought it was me. I was like, oh, it's all me. So it took a while for me to drop that. But that's a good point, man. Like, somehow I wish I could have found a relationship with faith sooner. My mom grew up a Christian. She had me baptized and all that, but I never had an experience that made me feel connected to God. Like, I just was disconnected, and there was no one in my life that was leading me in a way where I was like, okay, here's an example of what a righteous life looks like. There's the fruit. Even the Bible says, like, judge a tree by its fruit.
By its fruit, absolutely.
Yeah. So a good tree produces good fruit. And so I just saw bad fruit. I never heard that verse till this year, but I remember my whole life being like, I clearly don't want to go down that path. Like, you guys say you have faith, but you don't move with faith. You're not improving your life. Like, it is going the wrong direction. So I just saw what I didn't want to be like. For my brothers, my family. Like, my brothers were like selling drugs in my mom's house. She would be working night shift. They would steal her car, drive around. They were doing crazy stuff, throwing parties, underage drinking, and I got caught into that actually when I was 13. And so, yeah, it's like, could have went either way. Thankfully, though, he was there waiting, you know, and it's just like, finally I surrendered. So
absolutely.
With the father story, that was interesting, like, both voices. I think I just wanted to summarize that by saying that it's so much easier to have, like, to get to our calling when we just have a faith journey.
Absolutely, man.
You know, like, I was seeking it through mentors and didn't want to let people down, or, you know, didn't want to post the wrong thing because I might get judged. But then you realize, like, none of this stuff is going to matter, you know? So I think for most barbers, I do find that, like, barbers in the program that, like, are really strong on their faith, they have way better morals, character, they show up. They say they're going to come to the group calls, they come to the group calls. I don't know, I just feel like I've noticed that. They have way better character.
Yeah, that's funny. So my dad, right, he's writing a book called The Search, right? And I think all of us are kind of in this search, right? Even the people that don't believe in God. They don't believe in God, they don't got no faith, but you're trying to figure out how this all works. You're still on a search, right? And so we're searching, we're trying, like you said, I'm trying to find validation in this and how much I charge. And the mentor, I think this is the person, this is the answer. We idolize people sometimes, and not only, musicians, artists, and sports figures, but a mentor even, because he's successful. He might be a good person, but, there's a saying, how does it go, like, about when you actually meet your mentor, like you could be disappointed or something like that.
Yeah, never meet your idols.
Yeah, and that happened to me by meeting one of my person that I kind of put on a pedestal, right?
Yeah.
But so that search, we all have that call, and we're being called by God, right? And in there, we're trying to find it here, trying to find it there, right? But I think the reason that the barbers that do have that faith journey and have found God are more dedicated and committed is because when they understand you're not doing this to look cool, you're not doing this for a financial number, you're not doing this to impress your mentor, you're not doing this to impress the people, you're doing this to serve your creator. Now it's not I'm interested thing, it's just like, I am on this path, I am committed no matter how many times I fall, or I can still use mentors and do all these things. I can still accomplish success and the haircuts and all that. But all that is just a byproduct of my purpose and mission to serve my creator. So now that commitment level is different.
Yeah. And this may sound controversial, but I think anyone who is not doing their best, any man who's not doing his best to be the strongest version of himself, mentally, physically, financially, and he says he has faith, I look at that as hypocritical. Because of my childhood, seeing the lack of examples of role models in men, which I realize that every man's going to let us down. However, if a man isn't doing his best in all those areas, I look at that as a hypocrite and not someone that I can follow. And what I wanted to get at with that was, I had a good thought with this. The first command in the Bible, be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Like, hello, dominion, that like dominate, like you gotta be the top. So I just like create an empire, like build, be fruitful. Like when I think of those words, like prolific, like a person who is prolific would be putting out tons of content. The people I look up to the most, like I watch a Myron Golden and I realize like, wow, he has an empire, a machine. He's making podcasts, none of these people are perfect. I've seen like scandals and stuff with him. I don't know if it's true, but I look at how they operate. I'm like, wow, he pushes the Bible in every video. He's dropping verses left and right. It's like wisdom, it's business knowledge, and he's like retired all his whole family, impacted millions of lives. Those are like the modern day. I had Anthony tell me, he's like, these are like the modern day kings in the Bible.
Yeah.
None of them are perfect, just like the kings in the Bible weren't perfect. So for a barber, you can strive to build your own empire, whether that's just your social media platforms, like owning barbershops.
And I want to point something out, right? Because, we're talking about God, and a lot of people would judge us right now. Like, man, you guys are over here talking about God, but you're driving Rolls Royces and Lamborghinis and doing all this, promoting money is the root of all evil, right? And we've had this conversation before, but I remember one time you asked me a question and you were like, what's your opinion on that? Like, you live this lifestyle, you want the nicer things, you have these huge goals, like, how do you feel about people that use that as like, and they judge you for it, right? And here's my thing, right, is like, number one, money's not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. But what I always say is like, me wanting the lifestyle, the Lambos, the vacation, the millions, the all that, I'm not materialistic. It's just, this is an abundant, infinite world that God created. So I know I can have those things, but it's more about, in order for me to reach those things, I understand that I have to serve on a level so high, help so many people and become a certain person to achieve those things, that they're more just like bonuses, but it's not those material things that are the most important to me, right? I just understand that by having big goals and all these things, in order to accomplish them, I have to become a certain person.
It's the best way to keep score of how much service you gave. And that's really tough to hear. This will also sound controversial, but if a barber wants to find out how much value he's given to a marketplace, he can simply look at his haircut price. he can simply look at his weekly, daily, or monthly income, yearly income.
Yeah.
And we talk to a lot of barbers. The average barber's income is 5K. Average. So meaning if you're listening to this and your income is 5K, you're not outperforming the average. You're the average.
That's the value that you're giving to the world, to the marketplace.
And then they're like coming at our neck like, wait, what do you mean I'm working on providing for my family? That's true, man. There's nothing like that's, I tip my hat to you.
Yeah.
But the true definition I've found for intelligence is getting the life you want, getting what you want out of life. So if I found myself showing up to the shop, being stuck at 35 a haircut for 2 years, from age 20 to like 22. I was an apprentice, I was learning the game, and I had a huge ego. I thought just because I moved to Cali, I got in the right shop, and I'm supposed to just like be gifted with clientele that comes back and never leaves. But every week, I'll walk in the shop from a client I cut last week, and we would dap each other up in the shop. That was the culture. But I would notice the person in the chair was my previous walk-in I took last week. I'm like, oh, you didn't like the cut? All right.
Yeah.
And that took me a year or two to be like, oh, I'm not providing more than I'm asking in payment, which is the true definition of what our value.
Yeah.
So,
and I love what you mentioned. This is very important. That a lot of barbers, they're working really hard, right? Let's talk to the barbers that are making a little bit more real quick. Nice. You're making $6-8 grand,
there we go.
Right? You're making $8 grand a month. That's good money.
Chick-fil-A money.
Yeah, it's good money as a barber. It's good money. You're living a good lifestyle. You're paying all the bills. I'm providing for my family. I'm a hard-working father. Yeah, but you're not making time for yourself. You're gaining weight. You're behind a chair all day. You don't give your wife the love she needs or attention she needs at home because you get home so tired so that she gets the worst version of you. You don't spend the time with your kids, and you think, and I understand it's like a misconception, you think you're doing the best by doing that. No, you're not. You're actually doing them more harm. Your kids would actually rather you make less money and be with them more. Your wife would rather you make less money and give her more love than you make more money. The beautiful thing is you could do both.
There we go.
So you're actually doing yourself an injustice by thinking because you're working so hard. No, that's good that you made it there. But if you don't find a way to go from working 6 days a week to make $8,000, killing yourself behind the chair, not getting home till 9 p.m. At night, to working 3-4 days to make the same amount of money and leave by 5 o'clock, that's when you're giving it to your family. And that's your responsibility.
Yeah, I heard this quote, comparison is the thief of joy, but it's also a great motivator.
Yes.
So it's like, if you're in that situation and you're looking at another barber who, one barber decides to cope and does what you says, falls back, I'm gonna make less so that I can be with my family more. The other figures out a way to have both.
Both.
And most people say, oh, don't compare yourself. Like, it's like, no, use that as fuel.
Fuel.
Like,
absolutely.
Okay, he figured it out. If he can do it, so can I.
Absolutely.
And I shared this on my story yesterday or 2 days ago, that the motivation I get now, it used to be, they called me a $5 barber when I was in college. That was my story. I remember going to a party. I used to drink, smoke, vices. I was just a lost kid trying to fit in. And I was in a community college, and I was just about to drop out of that community college. I worked a 9 to 5 at a telemarketing job, and I was doing $5 haircuts. Just random drifter, honestly. And that's what Napoleon Hill calls a drifter, like allowing others to do your thinking for you, partaking in vices, not having a plan. And so that's what I was doing. And about a year later, I got my shit together. But during this phase, I'm partying. This girl takes a picture with me, puts it on her Snapchat. The next day, she gets DM replies from people at this community college saying, oh, is that your nigga? He's a bum. He's a $5 barber. He cuts at Hocking, which is a community college. And they were just trying to degrade me as much as possible so that she wouldn't think I was worthy. And I was like, okay, bet. People would say, Joel, don't take that personal. That's okay. Like, they don't understand your situation. No, that's my fuel.
Absolutely.
Like, I know you resonate with this. Like, that's how you work as well. And so many people will say, like, as a young man, you shouldn't let the negativity get to you. And, it's all positive. And you're just going to always have when you wake up, you're going to want to get up and do a cold plunge, and you're going to want to go to the gym and do your business work. That's not the case. It's great to be motivated by the light, but a lot of the times when I was most motivated, it was when I just got like a tough rejection. Like, oh, okay, all right, bet. And it's not like I'm gonna be petty and like talk about it or gossip or anything, but I'm just gonna, okay, cool.
Turn the pain into fuel.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, there's nothing stronger than being fueled by pain, right? And it's almost like, I know it sounds wrong, right? But like a get back, like a vengeance, like I want to show you, right? But there's two factors to it, right? Number one, if it's pushing me to become better, it's not a bad thing, right? Not only that, but by me actually accomplishing this and letting those people eat their words, not only are they gonna feel like kind of silly, like damn, he did that, but you got to think about the flip side is they're also gonna be inspired and motivated. Like,
absolutely.
Damn, I talked that shit, but look what he became. So at the same time, by doing that, using that pain and that fuel, you never know if God intentionally allowed that situation to happen to give you that pain.
Yeah.
Right? For the trickle effect that it has on everyone else around you. So that pain, I mean, it's huge, man. Everybody wants good, right? But
no doubt.
Go through a heartbreak, go through some serious shit, and that's when you really.
Yeah, I mean, and if we were to create it, I would say like any barber that hasn't found a way to make $1,000 every time they pick up a pair of clippers, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah.
How many years have you been holding those clippers in your hand, day after day, repeating the same cycle? They say that's the definition of insanity, to do the same thing expecting a different result. Mm-hmm. And it's cope to act like there's not younger barbers who've been in the game less than you, in the same city as you, able to charge more and make more. This is not a charity. We are in a for-profit business where if you haven't figured out how to make $1,000 when you pick up a pair of clippers, what are you doing?
Yeah, man.
If you haven't figured out how to free up your time and only work 2-3 days a week on your barbering so you can work on other business models, what are you doing? Barbering isn't a vehicle you want to be in for decades at a time. You want to get in, figure it out, build a brand, and move on to, for me, it would be sales, marketing, etc. If you haven't figured that out, what are you doing?
Bro, so you just said something powerful, right? So you're absolutely right, bro. $1,000 a day. I remember when I used to think like $1,000. If I can make $1,000, like I remember the first time I made $1,000 a day, right? And to make that $1,000 a day, it was number one in Christmas season, so it was crazy busy. I started cutting at like 7 a.m. I cut all day. I must have cut like 25 heads. And then went and did a house call after just to make that $1,000. It was the first time I broke $1,000. It was like $1,014, right? Yeah. But I crashed my car on the way home because I fell asleep driving.
No.
So the point that I want to make here is, it's not just about hitting that 1,000 or big amounts. It's like, I was so excited, so happy. I killed myself to make this amount, but it clearly took a toll on my health, you know. And then I remember after that, though, it opened the light for me. Oh, you could make 1,000, right? But then 1,000, once I did it once, it started happening more often and more often. I started raising my prices, scaling, learning how to track people on social media. Dude, it got to the point where 1,000, like 1,000 was just, I never made less than 1,000. It was like 1,000, I would make 1,000. My son's right here. 1,200 on one house call, and then go back and get another 1,200 off 2-3 more hair. Like we're talking about 2,000-3,000. I've made $4,000 in a day before. Like that's it. So, you know, these numbers that we're talking about, there's two ways to get it. I worked one day from beginning to night to make that 1,000, and then I've also worked 1 hour to get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. If you don't see that yet and you still doubt, like, you got to figure it out.
Yeah, and I just would want to know, what are they doing, like with their habits, with their day-to-day? Are you just scrolling on TikTok, twiddling your thumbs, like letting days go by, weeks go by, years go by? That seems to be the normal thing for barbers, is like to not have a plan, to be living in like delusion, where it's like deep down they really know they have no idea what they're doing. You have to, right? If you're still charging the same you've charged 3 years ago. Yeah.
I mean, I think they're lost. They don't have purpose. They don't have belief. And I'm not saying to judge or blame any of them. I mean, I feel bad. Like, my goal here is not to bash anyone. It's to actually say something that could possibly trigger the fact in you that there's no difference between me or you. You know, how do you view yourself? You have to start really believing things are possible. And so I remember one time when I opened my shop, man, like I'll never forget, dude, we blew up. So I had such high belief. I was, you know, I'd been exposed to sales, network marketing, abundance. I opened my shop. The goal was to be full in 6 months. No, the goal was to be completely full, 13 chairs in a year. We were full in 6 months. Completely packed out, right? We were in all the industry events. And what was it that I was gonna go with that, man? Damn, I lost my train of thought on that one, man.
Packed out events. We've been packing out events, man. We got another event we're gonna pack out in about a month.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be lit, man. That's
Yes, sir.
it's gonna be the best one so far.
When it comes
Yeah,
back.
when it comes back, I'll bring it back up.
Easy call. I actually have a few I wanted to get into as well. We touched on the city. Image consultant over barber would be an important one. Marketing to a skill set, being the best known barber, not the best barber. These are all things that I notice most people don't realize. They also, I don't think they've done the math. Like, you're gonna make 10K a month, that's just 50 haircuts a week. You're already doing 50 cuts a week at $25. It's like a doubles game. You know, when I first made, in barbering, I remember I made $100 in a day after, like, it took me a long time to even get to that level.
Yeah.
But I remember feeling like a millionaire, driving home, probably how you felt, except for you were tired that day after the 1,000. But
Yeah.
bro, I felt like the richest man in Nelsonville, Ohio, was where I grew up, this small ass town. I just felt like, whoa, I figured out how to make money. It was cash, it was in my pocket, it was like, it was real. And so then I dreamed of the day I could make 1,000, etc. And as a coach now, 10K days, 20K days, you just keep doubling. I guess the difference between those two paths is like addition and multiplication. I feel like now it's multiplying versus then it was adding up. But still, $100 a day for a barber to just do the math, like, okay, you want to make 10K a month. That seems to me like a very simple math equation. What do you have to do to get 50 haircuts in a week at $50? I would say there's not a barber on earth that can't figure that out.
Yes, and I'll tie that into something you said a little earlier, right? And I had just remembered what I was going to say a minute ago. So earlier you said, you know, that money is like your scoreboard, right? Your achievements and your success is like your scoreboard, right? And this is something that really irks me, dude. When I see barbers playing fantasy football, fucking gambling, playing game, they know every single score, touchdown, playbook, year, stat on their favorite team, but they don't know how much they're making per week to the T. They don't know how many haircuts they did. They don't know their average per haircut. They don't have a set goal. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You are living through someone else's life. You're living your excitement, and your joy is being fueled by knowing someone else's stat and score. Like you said, your numbers, your goals, that's your scoreboard. That's your scoreboard to life. And when you learn to get excited about it, like, I mean, dude, us on our calls, we're like, you know, with our team, with our barbers, it's like, yo, how much did you make this week? How many haircuts? What are you at? What percentage are you filled up at? Like, these are our stats.
How many new clients? Yeah.
How many new clients? This is how many touchdowns? You know, that's the touchdown. When the client touches down in your chair and the money touches down in your bank, you know? Right. So, and I'll tie that to the next thing that I had remembered that I was going to say, which was your self-identity, right? So when we were blowing up, my shop was blowing up and we were crushing it, I had this invincible mindset, right? Like, we're number one, we're the best shop, we're charging the most, and we did that. And I'll never forget, one day we were at a bar, right? We were out with the barbers. That was back when I used to make the huge mistake of partying with my barbers, right? But we were at a bar, and some barbers that we knew, they were there, and one barber, he was lit, and he was like, yo, he was like, why do you think we're in front of everybody? My circle of barbers, another barber shop, it's a huge group of barbers. And he's like, yo, why you think you're better than everybody? And I look, and everybody looks like, oh shit, this is a tense moment. I looked at him, I was like, why you think you're not? Like, why do you think you're not better than everyone? Why do you view yourself like less? As the reason I'm winning, the way I'm winning, and the reason my team is winning, the way they're winning, is because I think I'm the absolute best. I think we're number one. So I move in accordance to that. I pour life into my barbers and I get them to think that we're the best. We're the best team. We're the number one shop. You guys are amazing. I fill them with life, right? And that goes to say, like, just because I think I'm the best doesn't mean you're not the best. Like, I have my own reality. Like, hey, listen, I'm a better coach than you, Joel. I'm the number one barber coach in the world. I don't care how many are out there. Does that take the fact that you're the number one? I have to speak this to believe this in order to move with the belief level and the conviction to have the impact and the amount of lives. So even if I'm not number one right now, even if you have more students, even if your coaching program is better, it doesn't matter. I'm better. I am number one. And once I identify myself like that, then I will now do the things to make sure that that becomes my reality, because I really, truly believe that. So people need to shift that about themselves. They need to have more belief in themselves.
Straight up. And focus on you until the focus is on you. That's a great quote. And I think it's in our modern day, we're looking at social media all day and comparing ourselves to others. And like I said, if you're not mentally strong enough to use it as fuel, then just get off the phone. But I don't watch sports. I haven't watched sports. I think some of the greatest entrepreneurs, even Michelangelo, he said that to create this statue of David, which at the time he got paid like one of the most for any sculptor of his time, it's like the 1500s. They asked him how he did it, and he said, I just removed everything that wasn't David.
Yes, bro.
So for your barber journey, you said you want to make 10K a month. Everybody is an entrepreneur until it's time to sacrifice.
Yep.
Every barber wants to make 10K until they have to stop watching sports, stop sports betting, stop smoking, actually hit a certain morning routine before the shop, whether it's editing your videos, whether it's, really just being able to monitor their day-to-day and make sure that what they're doing is actually in alignment. I heard a great quote from a mentor. He said, we're all in alignment. It's just most of us are aligned with an outcome we don't even want.
Yeah.
And so, they're watching the sports. The ball player don't know who you are, bro. Like,
for sure.
You know his whole life, man. And we all intrinsically do want to be on the stage, like on the screen, whatever, the person that everyone's watching. Most people won't admit it, and they'll call us selfish for claiming that. But when you have a gift and a calling, it's those who step on that stage with that purpose that you really, what can you say about them? Like, they're just one of God's people. So that's major. I would say one of the best accomplishments any student we have can get, one of the first milestones I want them to hit quickly, is haters in their comments. Let's raise your prices so fast, so far that it's more hate than love in the comments. That's how you know you're winning. And if you're watching this and you don't have any hate in the comments, we need to turn it up a notch. We need to push harder. We need to go farther, faster, because you're either going to make them inspired or insecure. They're either going to hate it or they're going to be motivated, and you have to be okay with both. But it used to bother me in the beginning, and that's actually why I stopped posting my price raises. I would just do the DM blast, because I didn't have thick enough skin to deal with all that hate. But if I was to give that, I would say everybody should let it be known, from the mountaintops. But a few things I wanted to cover as we're coming up. We got like 15 minutes. Financial literacy as a barber. Can we quickly touch on that one?
Yes.
Like, most barbers have no idea that I talk to how much they even make. Like, how much you make, bro? Shit, I think my booksy said I did about 70 cuts, but I'm pretty sure I got some walk-ins too. Shit, honestly, I have no idea, bro. I don't even know where it all goes. I feel like I made a lot, but somehow, I'm at the same spot each month. And I remember feeling that way as well. I'm not, judging, because there was month after month where I would be hustling, taking walk-ins. I would work 7 days a week sometimes, but the amount in my bank account didn't ever increase. It was the weirdest thing. And then I realized, oh, it's because I'm fucking spending so much.
Of course.
But I didn't know what I was making or spending. And I really think that's very relatable. Possibly one of the biggest problems that need to be solved in a barber's business. So what have you seen with that that's helped your students the most to overcome that?
Well, I'll tell you what I've seen and I'll tell you what I lived, right? Because I've made so much money in my life. Like, listen, I've made millions of dollars and not had a dollar to show for it before, right? I'll never forget the saying. It was like, listen, you can make $1 million in a year. If you spend $1 million in one, you're broke. Right?
Yeah.
And I did that for years. Cycle, making so much money. Oh, I'll make it back tomorrow. I'll make it back tomorrow. And I would keep track of my income because I had goals and stuff, but I never kept track of my expenses. I was just like spend. And I was always like just a couple grand in my account, just a couple grand. But I made so much, right? So number one, that affected me tremendously because I could have been further along earlier in my career, you know, and my goal is to help barbers avoid that. Like, yeah, we're helping barbers tremendously change their income. But if we don't help them change their outcome, they're gonna keep being broke, right? So with the barbers in the program, for example, all of our students, I stress that so much. Like, you have to track every single dollar that you spend. So, you know, our tracking sheets track every income dollar and the average per haircut, the tips, amount of haircuts, all that stuff. But then the expense tracker, literally, you know, you track every single expense that you do, and I hold them accountable to do it daily. Because what happens when you do it, like I had one tell me, no, well, everything goes through my bank account, so I know how much I spend. Yeah, but you don't consciously see it every single day. And when you have to click necessary, yes or no, right? Necessary, yes or no, and then to write yourself a little note if it's a no as to why. Was it weed? Was it extra food? Was it shoes? Was it whatever? Little things. It's little things on a daily basis that we think are insignificant. But then at the end of the day, when it adds up at the top and you see total expenses, total necessary, total unnecessary, and it shows you how many on each item, you're like, damn, dude, I made 8,000. My fixed expenses are 8,000, and I'm sorry, my fixed expenses are 6,000. I made 8,000. I should have 2,000, but I don't. I have 500. Where did they go? And then you start to tell yourself stories like, I'm not really making that much money, or the shop is slow, or you start, you know, because you think you're you're making it. You just don't know what you're making it. So. You can't measure what you can't track, and it's like a ship without a sail, man. Let's say a ship has a goal of getting from here to the Bahamas, let's say. They have their goal, they have their destination, but they're not using a GPS. You're out in the ocean, bro. You're not gonna end up in the Bahamas. You might end up in Cuba, you know? So you're gonna end up wherever the ocean, the motion takes you. So, you know, if you're not keeping track of, you might be making a lot of money, but if you're not keeping track of your expenses, then you're never gonna get to those big goals you have. You're gonna end up wherever you end up. Yeah,
this is huge. This is probably the biggest plague. And they say that the scarcity and limitations are passed down from previous generations. I feel like in barbering, that's huge. And it wasn't this event, but the one before that, we did a show of hands. How much have you invested in personal development? 1,000, raise your hand. Some people couldn't even raise for that. Or maybe I think that was like the one where they at least did that because they were in the program. So, okay, 5K, a lot of hands started going down, 10K, 20K, 50. And I remember the guy in the room that had invested the most was like $1 million invested in himself, but he was also making the most. And so that was a great realization of like personal investment always equates on the back end. You're going to eventually see that back.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy to me because barbers say, I just need to save up, bro. And I'm like, save where? You don't have a savings problem, brother. You're currently not making enough to pay my Rolls Royce payment monthly. It's $4,500. The insurance is $700. Like, how are you going to save?
Absolutely.
So you actually have an income problem, brother. Instead of trying to save on your $3K a month income you currently make now, and you have $3K in the bank, right? You're like, let me just keep saving this $3K. Next month I'm going to put an extra $200. That'll be $3,200. Bro, you're gonna be in a wheelchair by the time you make $1 million. We all will make $1 million eventually, right? Barbers that make 50K a year over however many years, do the math, that's $1 million. But I was someone who was willing to go into debt and get credit cards for mentors and learn new skill sets. and I know it sounds judgmental, but it's true. Like for a long time, I really had this mindset that I'm going to just save my way rich. Eventually I'll get there, you know, and even though I don't have the skills yet, when I save enough, then I'll get the skills. What a flawed paradigm and a lie that they sold me. That like you got to go to college first, you got to get like a degree before it's like this future, we're putting it off till later. And I finally realized like, oh shit, I have to learn these skills, high income skills, to create that reality. And it's the smartest people who will just open the hand, because if your hand is closed and you got cash in your hand, you can't give or receive. So they open it, let go, and then it can all flow back in. So that's what I did. I emptied my bank account many times, and now I lost count, but it's minimum 180,000 in mentors and like online programs, done for you services, mentorships, in-person events, in personal development, and applied knowledge is the best knowledge. So now it's time to put it on to action. But yeah, man, it's like saving and income. I don't think people really realize you can't save if you're making only a couple grand.
Yeah, and I think I want to ride off that a little bit. So yeah, I think one of people's worst paradigms, worst mindsets that I see is that mindset of I have to wait to do this until I save X amount, right? And not just when they want to get started in the coaching program. I speak to barbers all the time that they want to open their own shop. I'm talking about barbers that are making good money, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month. I want to have my own shop one day. They said, but I don't have the money yet.
Yeah.
Listen, here's a gem for everybody, guys. OPM, other people's money. I asked these barbers, do you have a corporation? No, I don't have a corporation. The fuck are you, like, financial literacy, what you talking about? Listen, if you don't have a corporation, it doesn't even matter if you are making $1,000 a month. If you have a corporation, you run all your money through the corporation. The way corporations work, you start building up some credit lines. Now when you start building, listen, even if you save up 50 grand, you would be a fool to use your 50 grand to go put them into a barber shop. And then for whatever reason, it could be COVID, it could be the next thing, it flops and you lose your 50 grand versus you putting your money into a corporation that the banks are more than willing to give you an easy $100,000 at a 0% interest. And if it flops, company's bankrupt, doesn't affect my personal side, I didn't put my money at risk, right? So OPM, other people's money, right? And I want people to think about this. If the decisions that you have made up to this moment, and I tell people this when they're on the fence about getting involved with the coaching, like, oh, I got some money, but the bills are coming up. Listen, if the decisions you've made up to this point has you in the situation that you're in, you need to make the exact opposite decision of the one you're thinking about making. Because what you have done is got you here. And in order to see the change you want, you have to change the way you think and the decisions that you make. And like you said, we take risks, right? We're willing to take risks. We're willing to put up the money when we don't have it because we know the value in having a coach. When I started the program with you, I was making a lot of money, right? But I was going through some adjustments in my business that after COVID, all that had happened. And I was already charging $100 a haircut, right? But you had a skill that I wanted. I didn't have the full amount to give it to you, but I was like, hey, Joel, bro, if you wouldn't work with me, bro, I'm all in. I wanted the coaching. You were like, yeah, let's set it up. And boom, I took the risk. And then and here's the important thing is that then when it was done, I was like, hey, coach, I need more. Right? You helped me like rise to levels that I hadn't accomplished yet, even though I had accomplished a lot, like the accountability part, right? Having someone to hold you accountable, having the new skill sets that I didn't have of the social media, virality, attracting those high ticket clientele through social media, like a lot of them, I didn't have that yet, right? It took me a long time to get there. And I think a mistake a lot of barbers make is they hire a coach for a season, right? And they're like, okay, I did 3 months, I did 6 months. Doesn't matter if it's fitness or if it's whatever it is, right? And then once they hire this coach, they see the success and they're like, okay, my coaching program's done. Goodbye, coach, I got what I need. Like, hold on. If having a coach took you to where you got to, what makes you think that now just going on your own, you're just gonna like, that's it, now I can get to the top levels? Like, there's always a next level, right? And having a coach, If you want to stay the same, cool. But if you want to continue to grow, I mean, I truly believe in always having a coach,
Absolutely,
always having a mentor.
Because like we're all naturally called to be great, and for me, I wasn't like a natural born winner. Like I really had to unlearn and relearn so much to where if I take that source out of my life of like someone who's constantly giving me a mirror that is extremely uncomfortable and truthful, if I take that out, I'll just go right back. Mm-hmm. Like I know myself.
Absolutely.
And so many people are the same way. We have to properly, they say that your imagination is the most powerful faculty that makes us human. Other than that, there's no difference between us and a cow or a donkey. Like we can use our brain to imagine the life we want to create, and then you can use our free will and create that life. And why do I share that? Because same thing happened.
It happens, man. It happens. And you know what's funny is like we have so much knowledge and game that we want to give to people, right? And it's like such little time to put it all out there that we're just trying to give all that knowledge. Sometimes, that's what happens.
It does.
You get it mixed up.
But we're probably coming up on a wrap, actually. So I would just say that the people who are super serious, they see the best results, speed of implementation. And when they come on the call, like, and they're kind of questioning and hesitating, I ask them, like, do you think that's the type of person that will get to your goal? Like the 10K a month that you want? Like, how does he move in this moment? What would he do? And if they're still like, well, you probably just think about it some more, I'm like, all right, it's okay. You're not ready. Like, I passed, dude.
Yeah.
Because then imagine in the coaching program, now you're going to be like, well, I know I need to raise my prices, but I sort of probably should think it over and like ask my wife. And like, what?
Yeah.
She's counting on you to just do the thing. She doesn't want to be involved in this decision. What do you mean? All the decisions that they need to make, they're kind of avoiding. I just tell those people, like, right now it's not a good fit, big dog.
Yeah.
Come back when you're like fully convinced mentally, physically, emotionally, on every level, and then let's rock and roll. Completely forgot what I was going to say earlier, but that's something I did want to say. But yeah, I think we have a couple minutes. So I wanted to finish with an invite to any barber who reaches out to me and solo hablas español. Mi madre es español, fluent in Spanish, but me practicando. However, I have a brother and a business partner who we've teamed up together, and I'll kind of kick it over to you to speak in Spanish.
Sí, so para los barberos latinos que siguen a Joel, que quieren involucrarse con el programa, que están cansados de no saber cómo generar los clientes, cansados de no saber cómo manejar las redes de una manera efectiva para generar clientes que paguen más. Hemos creado una alianza, una sociedad aquí, a donde todos los barberos latinos que quieren hacer coaching, pero no hablan inglés, yo voy a estar asistiendo con todos los barberos latinos. Entonces,